Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday to everybody. I hope that your morning is starting amazing. Mine is starting interesting, but I thank God for grace. I thank God for His grace, and it has been a powerful morning already of just seeing God's grace, right? And so we thank God for this, even this teaching that we've been experiencing since January 1. Some of you all have been here throughout the month of December as the Lord allowed me to join live daily and speak prophetically, speak instruction, teach and train and develop and coach. And so that has been a blessing. And so today we enter into day 5 of the Voice Activation Financial Literacy Edition. The Voice Activation is a daily live teaching experience designed to help purpose driven believers align with God's vision, build the structure to sustain it, develop the character to carry it, gain the confidence to speak it, and execute it with obedience and excellence. So, welcome to the Voice Activation Financial Literacy Edition. This is literally for everyday people who want clarity, who want control, who want confidence with money, and most importantly, wanting that God's way, right? Wanting that God's way, because we can want it all different types of ways, but the only way that leads to good success is doing it God's way. And so this series will give you financial clarity, structure, discipline, confidence, and action in your finances. So whether you have been here from day one or this is your very first day watching, you can go back to all the replays from day one up until now, and you will be able to get some financial clarity and take some action, right? So not just knowing, but having action steps that you can take. So, day 1, we talked about vision as it relates to your money. You must have a vision for your money. You must have purpose for your money. Your money should be in a place where you are ruling over it, where you are commanding it, where you are leading it. And how do you lead it first? You must have a vision for it. You must have a purpose for it. And so then on day 2, we talked about organization. We looked at what is this the snapshot of where my money is going, how much money is coming in, and what is left over. We really went through, what is a need, what is a want, what is waste. And once we figure out what the waste are, we repurpose that money. Once we figure out what our wants are and what our wants that we can go without for a while, right? And we can sacrifice for a while, then we can then take that money and repurpose it as well. On day 3, we talked about integrity. Can God trust you with money? Are you trusted with your own money, right? Do you see money the way God sees money? And if you see money the way God sees money, then you will operate in integrity with your finances. On day 4, yesterday, we talked about communication. How do you speak about money? What are you saying about money? What conversations are you having or not having about money? Who do you need to have a conversation with? What accountability do you need to take as it relates to your finances through conversation? Because you need to be able to talk fluidly about money. Talking about money should make you cringe. You need to have those hard conversations, those tough conversations that allows you to get in a place of financial stability. And so before we go further into day 5, I just wanted to share this. Even as I was driving on the way back, and I was having a conversation with myself and God this morning, as it relates to finances. And I was saying to the Lord, I said, Lord, I don't want to have any fear, any doubt, any residue of anxiety as it relates to money. I don't want to have any scarcity mindset, any poverty mindset. I don't want to have any limiting beliefs. But not only do I not want to have limiting beliefs, I want to steward well what I have. I don't want to live beyond my means. I don't want to have any debt. I don't want to owe anybody. I want to make wise decisions with money. I want to be at a place where auto auto pay is like just a way of life, that I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder to see if, okay, well, I have to rearrange this and I have to put this there. That is not my goal. I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for my children. I don't want that for my family. I don't want that for people who are attached to me, who are connected to me. And so when having this conversation with myself this morning, I begin to think about the responsibility and the accountability internally, right? That we have to not face the same pain and the same traumas and the same cycles of financial brokenness, right? And so there are some emotions that we experience of instability when we don't have strong financial beliefs that we exercise in obedience and in faith. And so we have to decide, what do I believe? What do I want? What do I need to see in my finances? And then doing what we said that we're going to do. How about that? Doing what we said we were going to do. We're not just writing a vision. We're not just organizing a short or a simple, sweet budget. We're not just talking about, how we have to have integrity in our finances. We're not just looking to have conversations about the plan and tell everybody what we're doing with our finances, or have the conversation with our spouse, or have the conversation with the accountant without doing something about it. So that is the perfect segue into day 5, execution. Day 5, execution. Now it's time to put some faith to work with your finances. Now it's time to put faith behind what you said that you would do in relation to your finances. Now it's time to execute what we have done from days 1 through day 4. We need to do some execution. Execution is where faith becomes visible. It's where your faith becomes visible. It is faith that we can see literally in action. If you really have faith, James says in the book of James, James says, if you have faith, show me your faith by your works. And I'll show you my faith by my works. It's what I am, it is what I'm doing. Because if you really believe and if you really have faith, you'll get up and do something about it. If you really believe and you really have faith, then it is visible. People can see it. You can see it. It's literally a tangible part of your life where you can reach out and grab, where you could reach out and say, okay, this is exactly the type of faith she operates in. I know the faith she operates in because I see the work, I see the manifestation through actions. Okay. So knowing isn't enough. It's not enough to know all the information and know all the details and know what you should be doing in your finances and then not doing it. Planning isn't enough. A lot of us are planners. We have planner after planner. We have year after year. We even have the nerve to have dated planners that we never use from years and years and years ago. And we can open them and see that we either wrote in them, right? And never did or completed any of the tasks that we wrote in them, or they're empty. We started in January writing out a plan, and then all the rest of the months are blank pages. Okay, so it's not just planning. Planning is not enough. Movement is the multiplier. So when we're talking about multiplying income, when we're talking about building success and financial wealth and legacy for our family, when we're talking about just getting over the hump of debt, becoming debt free, being able to put bills on autopilot, it is the movement that multiplies the effort. It's the movement that allows God to even multiply, even allows God room to do miracle signs and wonders. We have to be willing participants in our own rescue. So if finances are a weight in your life, you must participate. You must participate by being obedient to the things that you have seen and heard. That's what the Bible lets us know, that with what we see and what we hear, what we have learned of, we must put action to. We can't just sit back and just keep putting so much information and knowledge into our mind that we do not utilize. We have so much that we underutilize. So your action will make the difference in 2026 and beyond. We're not just talking about 2026. The actions you're taking now, we don't realize how much the actions we're taking now are setting up our 2030, are setting us up for good success in 2030. We're not thinking just about 2026. We're thinking 5 years. We're thinking 10 years. If I start now, wouldn't it have been worth it to save $10 every week? Wouldn't it have been worth it to go into my account and figure out what what is going out of my account that I no longer need, and start putting that in my savings account, and finding a high yield savings account, and making an investment. Wouldn't it have been worth it if for the day of January 2026, the 16th day, that I would have made a decision to start doing something to pay off all my debt? Wouldn't it be so powerful that 10 years from now you are debt free? 10 years are going to come and go. 5 years is going to come and go. And it's what we decide to do now that sets us up for the future. Don't worry about the pain of today. Don't worry about the sacrifice of today. Today's sacrifices are tomorrow's victories. Today's sacrifices are tomorrow's victories. Write that in the comments. You may need to put that up on your mirror or somewhere in your house, because today's sacrifice is tomorrow's victory. We're wondering why there's so many people winning. It's what they did 10 years ago. You know, people think about business and they look, and they'll see someone like myself come back into business, and immediately start getting clients, immediately start getting customers. And they'll say, how is that even possible? And they think it's something, some magic and some special sauce that we all have, right? That are doing well when we leave something and come back to it, or have been doing something and doing something well for a long time, and have longevity in something. And the truth of the matter is, I've been doing this since 2016. Truth of the matter is, this didn't start today. This didn't start today. This wisdom that I've accumulated, this ability to be confident and bold, and be creative, and ask for the sale, and build business, it didn't start today. It didn't start today. It started back in 2016, when I didn't have all the knowledge, and I didn't have the money, and I didn't have the following, and I didn't have the people who acknowledge my name. I didn't have any of that. But because I made a sacrifice back then, here I am now. I can pop in, and there are people who love me, who honor me, who hear what I have to say, and who knows that I have a proven track record in what I'm saying, that I'm not just talking out of the side of my neck, right? And so there is a need for sacrifice today, so that you can experience victory tomorrow. There's a need for sacrifice. And so that's a word that we don't like to talk about. But in this moment of talking about execution, I want you to know that it's going to be a sacrifice to get where you're asking the Lord to take you. It's going to be a sacrifice on your part. It's going to be some discipline. It's going to be some responsibility on your part. And that's good. That's good. It's teaching yourself. It's training your muscles. It's building you up. So faith without action is incomplete. It's incomplete. Faith without action, I'm not even going to say the other word. It's incomplete, meaning it's missing something, right? We want to look at this thing as progress over perfection. You won't get it all right. You made some bad habits. You built some bad habits for many years. So in the process of building new skills and new habits, and killing old bad habits, right? And killing these old habits, you have to be able to endure the process, which is acknowledging that you're making progress, as opposed to looking at it being perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing is going to work out in the perfect manner that you planned. Yet with all your good intention, you wanted to save $100 this month, and you wanted to put that over into your high yield savings account, but you were only able to put 25. That's progress, because at one point you were putting zero. At one point you didn't even think about it. It wasn't even on your heart, on your radar, or on your mind to do. So stop looking at the perfection process and look at it as, I am in progress. I am moving the pendulum forward. I am doing something today. And if I do one thing today, and one thing tomorrow, and one thing the next day, by the end of the month of January, if I make a decision every single day to do one thing in the step forward in my finances, with vision, with business, with ministry, if I do that over these next 16 days, I've gotten 16 steps ahead of where I was today. 16 steps ahead, even if they're small steps. I'd rather have 16 baby steps than no steps at all. So it's progress over perfection. Another thing that is going to help you in this journey is having systems. Systems succeed when motivation fails, because right now you may feel motivated. We're in January. Everybody wants to get their finances together. Everybody wants to get their health together. Everybody wants to be more spiritually astute. Everybody wants to just be at the top of the mountain. Everybody is all in these emotions and feelings. And I've talked about that in the month of December when I said we're not going to do a sprint, we're going to pace ourselves, because anybody that does any type of running or exercise, you know that if you approach this thing too quickly, you burn out quickly. And so we're not experiencing the burnout because we're not looking at just the motivation. We're laying systems. We are calming our emotion, and we're creating systems. And the systems will allow us to continue when motivation fails. So what do I mean by systems? If you set your systems in place to transfer your money to your savings, then when you, even when you're not motivated, even when you're not excited, $5 is going over there, regardless of whether you are feeling it or not. $5 is automatically being sent over to your savings account every week. That's what I mean by systems. Systems to sow and to give. Maybe you have a Zelle account. You know that you want to start paying your tithing. You want to do your tithing at the first of every month. You want to tithe in advance. You can go ahead and get that set up. You can have that set up to go out as a bill pay every single month on the first of every month. You can begin to create routines that you will stick to, right? And you will do these actions no matter what. And you will do these actions out of habit, just like you did the bad actions out of habit. So if you start looking at your budget every week and you start looking at what's coming in and what's going out every week, that becomes an internal system. So we're not just talking about external systems, we're talking about internal systems. If every week you make a habit to sit down and see what you spent, how you spent it, where you spent it, and you look at it again as needs, wants, and waste, and you decide that, okay, I no longer need to do that because that's waste. Some of these wants, I can make some sacrifices. I don't need a Starbucks coffee. I can make a coffee at home. I don't need, to buy my lunch out. I can get my lunch. I can make me a sandwich and have some chips, and I can get that from the grocery store, and that would cut down that payment. If you start doing that every week, you create an internal system, right? So while your momentum and motivation is high, you create internal systems that allow you to break old habits. And by the time the motivation dies down and the momentum dies down, you start doing this out of habit, right? Not out of motivation, not out of being excited. You'll start doing this because you have built an internal system by habit, just like you do an internal bad habit by a system that you created unknowingly, right? You created an unknowing system and you do this bad habit all the time, right? And you say to yourself, how am I'm doing this? You make a decision that you no longer want to get your phone. And next thing you know, you don't pick your phone up and you said, I'm gonna take less time on my phone, but you created an internal system that says pick the phone up and scroll. Pick the phone up and scroll. And you do that without even acknowledging it or even giving thought to it. And so that's how you create an internal system, by doing something consistently that builds a new habit. James 2:17 says, faith without works is dead. It's incomplete. It means nothing. If it's really faith, it will be active, it will be visible, it will be evident. Deuteronomy 28:12. I've taught on Deuteronomy 28. I can't tell you exactly. I know I did it in December, but I can't tell you exactly what date it was. But we had a whole powerful teaching on Deuteronomy 28 and the importance of obedience to the Lord so that you can experience the blessings of Deuteronomy 28. But Deuteronomy 28 is not just about the blessing of the Lord. It's also about the curse that God will send upon you in your disobedience. So the work of your hand will be blessed in your obedience to do what God is saying right now as it relates to finances. We want to be blessed, then we have to obey what God is saying. It's not by accident that you are on this live. It's not by accident that you have been a part of voice activation. It's not by accident that the Lord brings you here. The Bible says, if you know better and you do not do it, it is accounted to you as sin. And so, everyone who, whether you are live, you watch the replay, these things that are being said, God is commissioning you to do it. And if you don't do it, you can't look up at the end of the year and say, God, well, why are my finances not what you promised? It's because he made you a promise, but then he also gave you some steps to take in responsibility to get them accomplished, and you did not take the steps. And as a result of not taking the steps, you do not get the reward. Drop an activation in the comments. We are not going to be long today. I am about done because guess what? We have so much that we have learned that it's now just time to put action behind. It's time to just put action behind. We need to create those internal systems. We need to put those systems in play so that we are building our financial resources and multiplying our income and stewarding our income and managing it well. Drop an activation in the chat as we talk about taking one action. Listen, we're going to take one financial action today. And we're going to do this every day. We're not just going to do it today. Every day, we're going to take one financial action. Every day, once a week, we're going to look at this budget and figure out what are our needs, what are our wants, and what have we wasted money, time, energy, what have we been wasting money on, right? And so take one financial action. One of the things that I love Mel Robinson. Do y'all know who Mel Robinson is? I don't know if you all know who Mel Robinson is, but if you do, or if you do not, she is awesome, right? And so I believe back in 20, I want to say it was maybe 2017 that I purchased my very first planner from her, and it's called the 5 Second Journal. And the 5 Second Journal planner, if you will, it literally had 5 minute, a 5 second rule, basically this kind of 5 second rule, right? And she's like, if you hesitate for anything for more than 5 minutes, you probably aren't going to do it. And so it's this challenge to like in this journal at the bottom of every page or within that page, it would tell you to do something that was just odd, that was just strange, that was just like completely out of your comfort zone. It might tell you to do something. I remember like one was like take a cold shower. And it was like some challenges that would be typically something you wouldn't do, but you would want to push yourself to do it. And so the goal here was every single day in that journal, it was something that you had to task yourself to do, to push yourself beyond your thinking about doing things and doing things that may be uncomfortable, but doing them nonetheless, right? And so the 5 minute rule, I had like a 5 second process for myself that anything that I would want to do during that season of my life, business, ministry, finances, anything, getting up to just shower, clean, those are things, those are disciplines that sometimes we'll be like, oh, I'll give myself another 30 minutes. Oh, okay, I'll sit here and watch TV I'll watch another episode. I wanted to create a level of discipline within myself. So I would do this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I would be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I trained myself to do that internally. And I would get up to do things that I was going to put off to later. I was going to put this thing off to later. It came to my heart and it came to my mind in this moment. So I felt like since it came to my heart and it came to my mind in this moment, instead of constantly saying, well, I'll do that later, I'll do that tomorrow, or I can put that to next week, I would say to myself, you got 5 seconds to get up and do it. That was an internal system that I created that sometimes I still do to this day in my mind. I'll be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 internally in my mind. And I will get up and do something that I was not really wanting to do, or maybe didn't even have planned to do on my to-do list. So here's a couple of actions that you could take just as an example. You can do other actions, that's fine, but these are just some examples of some actions that you could take from a financial perspective today. You can open a savings account. I just did. I opened a savings account the other day as I was doing my notes, and and preparing everything, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take one of these actions myself. I have a goal that I have in mind. I'm gonna create a separate savings account for it, and I'm gonna go ahead and just start putting $10 in there a week. I was like, yeah, you could just not drink a couple of drinks and not have a couple of snacks, and that would afford you the ability to put $10 over there in that separate account towards this. If you just put that over there, by the end of the year, halfway through the year, you can up it, right? So right now you're saying $10. Maybe by June, you can start going in there and putting $20 a week. And then, by the end of the year, maybe you get to the point where you're putting $50 a week in there, whatever the case may be, but putting something aside towards a goal. So opening a savings account. The second one, you can automate a bill or automate some savings. So if you open a savings account, automate a payment that comes out $10 every week that goes into that account, right? That's a great way to create a system, right? Or you can automate a bill. There's a bill that you constantly pay. You have to pay. Ain't no purpose of you keep on going in here every week paying it late. Put it on an auto pay, right? You can start a debt payoff plan. You can give a call to one of your creditors and say, hey, I wanted to know what kind of plan do you have that I can start paying off this particular debt. Take the smallest debt that you have. Maybe you have a small $500. Let's say $500 you have that you owe a debt collector. Call that company and say, what payment plan can I get on? Maybe they'll put you on a $50 payment plan a month. Well, go ahead and set that payment plan up, because then you know that pretty soon you'll be done with that 300 and you'll be able to scratch that off. That's going to feel so good that you are moving towards debt freedom. Maybe you can do something far as just even tracking your spending for 7 days. So you can just kind of see how you spend. I saw something that was so powerful. They were like, no spend. They're calling it a no spend year, right? And I was like, that sounds good. And so I have to look deeper into that. But no spend. I mean, I know you're going to spend something, but I guess it's probably none of the waste section, none of the want section. Being very, very disciplined for a year. I can only imagine that that would put us all in a great place, because I know that I have things on my want list that I really don't need. And if you calculate that, what seems like a little bit of money here and there, that's why I'm always even more I even come even closer in a lens and a microscope on the small things, because the big things, we don't do the big things often. The big things, the $500 things, the $200 things, we don't do those kind of things often. It's those little $20, $40, $10. It's those little things that when you add up by the end of the month, you've spent $600, but it's because it was just a small amount. It tricks your mind into thinking that you didn't spend $500. But the truth of the matter is those things add up. So tracking your spending so you can see where your money is going. So here is a declaration that I have for you all. Here's a declaration I have for you all. I want you to repeat it out loud. This is your voice activation as we close up the financial literacy edition of this. If you are on here and you want the worksheets, I've decided that I'm going to just send you the worksheets. So if you want the worksheets for this, all you have to do is send me a DM on Instagram, or send me a DM on Facebook, and I will send you out those worksheets that you can work through on your own time to be able to go through this whole entire process to get your snapshot together and all that. Just send me your email and I'll be sure to get those worksheets out to you. And thank you for being on, and see what happens when you're on. And if you watch the replay, you are welcome to do the same and be able to get the worksheets to work through this. So here is your voice activation. Here is your voice activation to close out the financial literacy edition. I am a faithful steward. I am a faithful steward. My money serves God's purpose in my life. I am a faithful steward. My money serves God's purpose in my life. Drop that in the comments as we get ready to close out. I am a faithful steward. You can you can comment it however you want to comment it, but I am a faithful steward. My money serves God's purpose in my life. Here's another one. Listen, you didn't just learn about money, you learned how to lead it. You learned how to rule over it. You learned how to operate in dominion over it. This was not just about you learning about money, you learned how to rule over it. You learned how to lead your money. You learned how to give your money purpose. You learned how to steward your money. You learned how to operate in dominion as it relates to money. So this was far more than just a teaching of how to utilize money or learning financial literacy. This is the step to be able to rule over, to dominate, to lead money, to give money purpose. And that is so important. I am grateful to you all. Thank you to everyone who have come on every single day. Thank you to those that have watched the replay. I'm not necessarily sure where we are going on next week, but I believe that we're going to go into the evening. God is he has me in different places, okay? He has me in different places, in different spaces, doing different stuff. And so I'm telling you guys, this is an interesting journey with the Lord, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it, even though, you know, can I tell you that sometimes the journey that God has you on is very uncomfortable and it's very different and it's very new and it requires so much of you, and you have to be patient and you have to endure and you have to live through some things, and you have to become somebody even greater than who you've been. You got to do so many little things to just, get your heart and your mind right so that you can do what the Lord is asking you to do in faith and obedience and in trust. There is a whole level of faith that I'm experiencing now that is so different, right? And so this coming week, I know that I will be live. I know for a fact I will be live at 7 p.m. on Thursday. I believe that we are going to transition over to a weekly live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, weekly for now, or in the evening. And so I'm extremely excited about that because I know that there's some people who don't like getting up in the morning. I know that there's some people that are at work during the morning. And so it'll give opportunity for me to be able to get on and share. And so the voice activation will continue on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I believe that we are going to be in a place of prophetic flow on Thursday. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what the Lord says. And I know that it's going to be powerful, right? This has all been good teaching. Things have been going so well with all of this teaching and training that have taken place over the last 2 weeks. Yes, it's been 2 weeks. Wow. We are 2 weeks into the new year. We are midpoint. We have crossed the threshold of the midpoint. Yes. And so God is doing great and mighty things. I appreciate you. I love you. I pray that everybody has a blessed rest of your day. And I will see you all on next week. Have a blessed weekend and a fresh start to a new week starting on next week. Good day, everybody. I was going to say good evening to you all. Good day, everybody.